Welcome back to Kind Regards, the show. I wonder if this is a sort of familiar story to you that, perhaps you get a bad night's sleep or a bit of a late night, you wake up, you're a bit snoozy. And so instead of sort of rolling right out of bed, just grab your phone, I'll just check some stuff. That's not really what you like to do, but, now and then, I guess it's all right. It'll wake me up a bit. It'll make the day a bit easier. So you just do something easy, check some emails or whatever, and, have a scroll. All right, cool, I'm awake, let's go. You jump up, put your gym clothes on, get to the gym, but you're not really feeling it. You think, a bit of a shorter warm-up today. Okay, I'll skip the warm-up sets too. I should do all that sort of chest stretching and stuff before I hit the bar, but it's all right. Not every time, you think. And so then, you go, it's okay. You sort of justify it to yourself. Do some sort of easier sets than normal. Well, you don't really push yourself, but you go through the motions. You finish up, you go home, get ready for work. Maybe I won't pack a lunch today. I'll leave that, bit of faffing. I'll just get to work early and give myself a bit of space and get through the day at work. And you just kind of, I'll push that report a bit later. And sort of thoughts of ease and convenience and, just getting through the day, just, it's all right, it's all right. These thoughts sort of dictate and run the sort of program of the day. You get home. I should probably cook those ingredients. Like I bought those yesterday. It's all right. I can push it. I can do it Tuesday Arvo instead of Monday Arvo. That's not a big deal. So you push that and you go, I'll go to the nicer burrito place, the sort of slightly healthier burrito place instead of that other one. Yeah, that's not so bad, a couple nights of takeaway a week, whatever. And, jump into bed. I don't really have the energy for a book. I'll do some YouTube or whatever. I'll watch a series. This sort of foot off the gas approach, all of which in my life when that happens is sort of run by thought. The thought arises probably out of my feelings, out of like my sort of bodily sensations. If my body is feeling lazy and tired, my sort of thoughts will reflect that. But generally speaking, it's the thought of, I could just get a burrito tonight and then I wouldn't have to do anything. I'd just have to sit back and boop, 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 and a burrito would arrive. That would be pretty sick. It's that thought that actually precipitates action. Without the thought of a future burrito, there is no burrito in my future. This seems like a pretty common thing, and the thing that I want to emphasize here is the role of thought as the catalyst for action. Chekhov has a great quote, which I'll read to you now. In Misfortune, the story by Anton Chekhov, he writes, "Only when in trouble do people realize how difficult it is to master their own feelings and thoughts." And this generally proves itself as true to me that when I'm feeling really good and I wake up and I feel great and I do all my normal things, I have a great set at the gym and I do a cold shower instead of a hot shower, like I'm doing everything that sort of makes me feel good, my thoughts are naturally quite positive, quite productive, quite like excited and keen to do what I have to do. Good thought patterns can easily be taken for granted. And it's only when we're really tired or, we suffer perhaps like a heartbreak or, we're ill, we're sick, we have like a pain that won't go away. Where, there's grief in our lives, some form of loss or, attachment to something that we can't get, desire for something that we can't get, that we realize that our thoughts can sort of run wild. Strangely, thoughts are always wild. Thoughts are never actually thought by us. We don't think thoughts so much as thoughts think us. They arise in us. They're as much a part of our sort of self as this bird that I see flying, that as the sounds of the waves that I hear or that you hear in this video, there's something that happens to you. This is a truth that I'd never really thought about until I meditated. A big part of sort of early meditation practice is initially you're completely lost in thought all the time. They say, focus on your breath, and you do for about 2 breaths, if that. And then a thought comes in like, oh, you should write that thing down because you don't want to forget it. Oh, later on you got to do this thing. And oh, that reminds me, like that would be really cool if instead of cooking, lamb shanks, I could cook some other kind of braise because I always kind of cook lamb shanks. So, and incessant thought, and 5-10 minutes can go by before I go, oh, actually, where even am I? And then I go, oh, I'm meditating, right? Like I've got my eyes closed. I'm supposed to be meditating. What the hell have I been doing this whole time? And it's analogous to waking up from a dream in that I was not in control of my thoughts. I was not even aware that I was having them. And yet thought was kind of taking me for a ride. We speak of a train of thought, this succession of carts of thought that one follows the other, this sort of relentless, endless train of thought, all these connections between them. We're not actually driving the train. The train is going past, but we are identified with the train. Does this make sense? That we feel like we are the thoughts. The thoughts have entirely captured our attention. It's not as if we're sitting back. It's like being in a movie as well. Sometimes you're aware that you're watching a movie and that these are actors, but sometimes you can, in a really good film, you can be lost in the movie. You're actually identified with the movie. You forget that you're in a cinema and there are other people around. You're entirely engrossed in the thing. You're immersed, fully immersed in the thing. This is what being lost in thought is. It's analogous to this feeling of actually our consciousness being fully absorbed in thought. And when you get sort of better at meditation, you're not constantly lost in thought, you start to be focusing on the breath or focusing on bodily sensations, and then sort of all of a sudden, like you'll really feel like a thought just like sneak in and like color your whole awareness. It'll just go woof. What about earlier when your sister said that? Like woof. What about when you were 5 and you had that birthday party and it was your birthday party, but it made you sad for some reason? Like woof. Remember your auntie? Like just random stuff. And because you're watching and you're aware enough, you can sort of get the real experience of a thought just appearing in front of you by no doing of yourself. You're just sitting there, and just like a bird call or just like a wave crashing, consciousness just changes, and a part of the contents of consciousness is this thought. This is a profound truth, if you ask me, about the nature of our minds. Thought, what we think, is what feels like us. What feels like the thing that we are, is our thoughts, is our sort of talking to ourselves about ourselves. That is what commonly we identify as ourselves. And yet, when we pay attention to this process, we realize that we're not a part of the process at all. Our will, our desire, our drive doesn't play any kind of part in thought. Thoughts just happen to us. Now, let's take it back to our burrito. The desire to eat a burrito, the blooming of a thought about a burrito in the future, or a slightly easier than normal gym set, or perhaps skipping, you're running, or doing the report later instead of right now. These are also involuntary. These are also just things that arise in us, and yet they capture our attention. They appeal to what maybe secretly deep down we want, and then they knock us into a new future, a new track, where all of a sudden we're ordering burritos, even though we swore that we would only order out once a week instead of 3 times a week or whatever. Now, thoughts are patterns as well. We have weaker thought patterns that occur less often, and we have stronger thought patterns that occur more often or more compelling to us. So, let's say you read a book about sugar, or you read a book about, warming up when you get to the gym, and you go, oh, it's so important to warm up and stretch. It's so important. But you've been going to the gym for 5 years. You never warmed up nor stretched. This thought pattern, this new one, is so weak compared. And it's a very common occurrence that you get to the gym and you forget totally, or you cease, you do not remember. That might be a better way of putting it. You do not think the thought that you would hope to think that would catalyze the new action, the new set of patterns, and instead you kind of just are automatically taken along by the old set. So on one side we have thought is totally spontaneous and totally out of our hands. And on the other hand, we have some sort of habitual, we can think of thought in terms of sort of habitual, routine, patterned, as a pattern thing that has stronger and weaker patterns. And so here, this is also according to Aristotle. Aristotle talks about about sort of habits being the way that we condition our desires to be as we think they should be rather than as they simply are, or as we think they should not be. For example, we think we should not want to skip our warm-up. So we want to condition our desires to include a warm-up. We wish that we wanted to warm up. So he says we need to just condition ourselves through our will and our actual sort of doing of the thing until our desires catch up and our desires like this thing. That is predicated on the thought arising. So this is the sort of critical piece, is that we cannot do a thing unless we first think to do the thing. And how do we get thoughts to arise, the right thoughts, the thoughts that we hope we will think? Well, the way that I'd like to sort of suggest in this video is that we do so by conditioning ourselves, by thinking thoughts consciously. I read them out, I write them on little cards. So I write, like, what are thoughts that I want to think in relationship to making videos? Well, I want to be excited. I want to always push for the work to be better. I want to be focused and determined when I make the videos that they're really good. I want to test the ideas before they go out so that they're not sort of B-rate ideas, so that they're really meaningful ones and I really believe in them. These are all thoughts that I want to think, that I want flowing through my body. So when I'm writing down ideas, I go, that one's actually not good enough, because I was thinking earlier about how I want them to be at this standard, and that thought, does this meet the standard? Bubbles up because I've been thinking that. Consciously, I've decided, I've used my will to read and run a thought pattern through my mind to strengthen the sort of neural networks, to strengthen the habit pattern of the thought. And then we have a higher chance of that bubbling up at the right time. Does it make sense? Yeah, we all have good values. As far as I'm aware, we all want good things. I've made a video before which references my buddy who sort of says, yeah, we all know what we're supposed to be doing. The problem is doing it. The problem is actually execution of these things. And yeah, we have our top values. We have those things that we want to keep in touch with, and writing down on cards. I do this. I should be doing this every day. I'm not doing it every day, but I aim to do this every day. Reading out, like, okay, marriage thoughts. Like, what are my marriage thoughts? Well, I want to be attentive. When she's going through some, emotional trouble, I want to be a really good listener, and I want to set myself aside and really focus on what's going on with her. I want to be open and honest with her when I'm going through a hard time. These are the sort of things that I'm trying to work on and be better at. And so I read these things and I go, it's a reminder of my values, a reminder of where I want to be at, how I want to change my life for the better. And it strengthens these thoughts so that the randomness of the thoughts, instead of being completely rogue and random, it just gets skewed a little bit towards where we're actually wanting to be in life, where we've actually decided we want to move towards. Does this make sense? Yeah, no one teaches us this. This is something that we have to teach ourselves. We have to, just like training our bodies, there's this strange, I guess unlike training our bodies, there's this strange misnomer that our minds are not something that we can train. That if you have bad attention span, that's just how you are, and it's a chemical thing, as if nobody has trained their attention before, as if no one has depleted their attention before by scrolling TikTok for 20 minutes. If you scroll TikTok for 20 minutes, you will be worse at reading books the next time you try and read books, right? If you do that every day for a month, you will have a worse attention span. And similarly, if you cut out attention draining things and you consciously train your attention, you will be better than this. And similarly with thoughts, the more conscious we are with thoughts, the more attentive we are to guiding our thoughts in the right direction, the better our thoughts will randomly be. The more of a friend we will be to ourselves, the more supportive we'll be to ourselves, the more, pleasant sort of reminders of our own values will occur spontaneously in our minds and help knock us in those sort of junction moments where you're about to sit down for a set and part of your mind goes, just go easy, will ya? And then the other part of your mind goes, that's not why you're here, dude. You're here to put in proper effort and do the best you can. And then you go, yeah, like I can choose that thought now. Does that check out? I hope so. Because it's the alternative to doing this, I think, the alternative to sort of paying attention to our thoughts, paying attention to our attention and cultivating it carefully with techniques, with things that bring results, is that we kind of just leave it to chance, Hopefully we think good thoughts in the moments that it matters. Hopefully before we show up and talk to our mum, we remember to be really nice to her because she's going through a rough patch, Hopefully I remember. But what if we don't? What if we it slips our mind? Well, then we're unconsciously operating in the world, sort of, trampling over the garden bed, going, oh, oopsie daisy, We can really leave it up to chance, or we can take a more active role and pull the odds towards our favor, pull sort of the roll of the dice to the sort of higher values that we can consciously sit down and write down. That's not hard at all. And then every day for sort of 5 minutes, just go, yep, I want to do that. Yep, I want to show up and I want to care about this thing. Yes, this is important to me. Yes, I know why I go into work every day. All right, let's do it. Let's get a hold of it. And yeah, and cultivate right thought, right action, right intention, that kind of thing. Yeah, I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's not too preachy. There's probably a million ways of doing this. This is just one. So, if it doesn't work for you, get creative, be flexible and try and figure out something that does. If this is something that sort of connects and is right for you in this time to apply this sort of idea. And, maybe it isn't, maybe you're on top of this, I don't know. But hopefully this was helpful if this is sort of the junction that you're at and you're ready for some sort of thing like this. It's been really useful for me on the handful of days that I've actually done it, actually read these things out. It's got me really excited and like really pumped for, the aspects of my life that I'm trying to concentrate on. Instead of it being like, yeah, all right, I guess I got to do those videos. Yeah, I don't want to miss a day. I don't want to miss an upload. So I guess I'll do it. Instead, I'm actually really pumped. And that's a nice way to be. And I hope everyone can have that if that's what they like. Yeah, no one's going to teach you. You have to teach yourself. We have to teach ourselves. Yeah, this has been Kind Regards. Thanks very much for watching. And there's a Substack link and a YouTube and Spotify link, so check that out if you like that kind of thing. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks.